Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Quirkless and Got Spider-Man's Powers Part 2. Before we start, please go support Immortal King 71 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Season 1 Episode 7. My good friend the lizard. Flashback. This is Hatsume. May come inside right away K. May. Okay, see ya muscles, she said, kissing his cheek when the sound of sirens echoed into Izuku's ears. He looked out to see where it came from and jumped off the balcony. Present. The cops raced down the streets to a building site where a taxi car was crashed into a wall, no driver inside, but half the vehicle from the back had been torn off. Meanwhile at the bridge, the traffic on the bridge was huge, no car was moving, and the beeping was unending. The ground began shaking under them, and the sound of people screaming became louder and louder. In fear, the civilians began running away screaming. Izuku's pav. I landed on top of the bridge with my badge, checking out the cause of the riot to see a creature twice as large as a normal human man, so I quickly put my suit on, this time with a mask, and saw it had large arms, sharp claws and talons. Its fangs looked like they could pierce iron, and it strangely resembled a man with lizard skin. It searched every car and then threw one down the bridge quickly. I swung into action and shot a web connecting the car to the bridge, so it never hit the water. I found the lizard thing, hand found the car it was looking for, threw it off the bridge. Izuku. Incoming. I kicked the lizard and landed on the ledge of the building, quickly firing a web at the car, holding it up and attaching it to the bridge so the people weren't killed. I looked at the creature who had its back to me, ready to engage in fight when somebody help me, my kid is trapped. I turned to see a woman in tears looking everywhere for someone who would help her. I let the lizard go and swung to the car that belonged to the woman. Auntie, help. I heard the kid inside scream, so I punched through the back glass and pulled it off to see the boy still buckled into his seat. Izuku. Hey buddy, it's okay, it's alright. Get away, help. Izuku. It's alright shh, calm down, I'm a normal guy, okay? I told him in a soft tone. The kid calmed down and stared at me with tears running down his face. Izuku. Okay, what's your name? I saw his bag on the ground with the name Koda. Izuku. Koda. Koda? Yes, Izuku. Let's get you out of here, stay very still. I crawled into the car slowly. Here I got you, I said, reaching him and wrapping my arm around his belt. Okay, here I got your belt, I'm gonna unbuckle it and you turn around, okay? Koda. Alright, Izuku. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. I unbuckled it and felt forward but spun around so his back hit the seat in front of him, and now he was facing me. I smiled through my mask. See how easy that was? The kid nodded when the smell of gasoline entered my nose. I turned to the right fast and saw the car had caught fire. It tore the web, making us fall so quickly. I webbed us to the bridge again, but this time I held it and the car as I heard Koda scream in fear. I refused to let it go. Izuku. Arg. Koda, climb now. Koda. I can't. Izuku. Yes you can. The flames began getting closer to my hand so quickly I replaced my hand with my feet. Close your eyes and put my mask on, I told him, removing my mask and tossing it to him. Spider-Man. I turned my head to see a boat approaching us. Let us help, the sailor shouted to me. I smiled and encouraged Koda to climb. Izuku. It'll make you strong, yeah, trust me, yeah, come on body, climb, let's go. I told him, feeling the heat intensifying near me. Izuku. Koda, come on, you're doing great buddy, you can do this. I told him as he began moving towards me with my mask on his head. I heard his breathing getting heavier due to the smoke when suddenly the back of the car I was holding tore off. Izuku. New. Koda. I quickly got into action and fired 2 webs on the right and left of the boat, launching myself to Koda. Reaching him, I hugged his body in mine as the car hit the water, causing a large explosion. No one's pav. The people on the bridge looked down at the water. Hey, where is he? Do you think he? No way, he has to save him. Come on Spider-Man, come on. The people were afraid, but not for Themistles, but for the young hero who risked his life to save a child he barely knew. I can't find him. The sailors on the boat looked around the water, but no sign. Everyone looked down as Koda's aunt began crying when suddenly DHWIP. Everyone turned to the sound to see Izuku's web attached to the boat. He's alive. Yes, Spider-Man. The sailors quickly pulled the web, and with it Izuku up, helping him onto the boat with Koda in his arms. The kid laid there asleep, safe and sound due to being knocked out from fear of death. Sailor. You saved him. You're a hero, Spider-Man. We love you, Spidey. Yeah. Izuku smiled and put his mask on. You saved him, you really did it. You're a hero, Spider-Man. The sailor said. Izuku smiled and picked Koda up and launched himself to the bridge again. As people cheered for him, he handed the child to the women. Thank you, God bless you, Spider-Man. Izuku smiled under his mask. As the kid woke up and looked at Izuku, who are you? Izuku petted his head. I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The sounds of police sirens came close to them, and heroes approaching alerted Izuku. Go Spider-Man, we'll cover you. The women looked at Izuku. He knew she was the pro-hero. Mandalay, go Spider-Man, she told him. Izuku nodded and swung away. The sound of people cheering, for some reason it made him happy. He actually saved someone. At home, Izuku could be seen being hugged by his mother as the news said, Spider-Man saves kid about to die risking his own life. Inko leaned back and put her hands on Izuku's cheek. Your father would be so proud of you, Izuku cried hearing that and smiled brightly. Meanwhile in the sewers, the lizard's shadow could be seen as it slowly shrunk into a man who was Dr. Curtis Connors. His neck has a small patch of lizard scales, and his skin had a slight green color to it as he got out the water and walked away wrapped in a blanket. Time skip. Every news agency had their best people standing and demanding answers in front of the Public Safety Commission head. Commission, everyone please settle down. Listen, approximately 9 p.m. last night an incident occurred on the bridge, and we are thankful for Spider-Man being there to save the child. But we are now sending out best heroes all around Japan to search for this creature, and I assure you we will find it and Spider-Man as well. Any questions? Yes, you say you will find the lizard and Spider-Man, but why are you looking for Spider-Man, a vigilante who came up not that long ago? Commission. Well, he is a vigilante who works illegally and must be caught. Is that it, or is it that you're afraid there's a hero possibly on the same level as the top 10 not working under you? Because from what I can tell, Spider-Man was the only hero that night, risking his life for a child he barely even knew, and I think we can all agree that he deserves more respect, right? Everyone? Yeah. Commission. No further questions. She left the reporters with a new news article. We love you, Spider-Man. With Izuku could be seen in Dr. Connor's lab. Hello, he yelled, trying to find the doctor when he found the same needle Connors used to inject Freddy with the serum. He looked it over when Connors came. Connors? It's not nice to snoop. Izuku jumped a little before seeing it was Connors. He looked disheveled. Sick? Not well. I gave everyone the week off. Izuku nodded. Yeah, he replied. Connors? Shouldn't you be in school? Izuku? No, I don't attend school for a month since I'm moving to a new one, but I got a question, sir. How would a predator track a reptile? Connor? Oh no, they don't. Most reptiles are at the top of their respective food chain, kings of domain. Izuku? But they should have some kind of weakness, right? Connors? Why the sudden interest in the cold-bloody? Izuku? Jay, just a question. I write analysis on all types of things, and I would like to know about reptiles, that's all. Anyway, because of their cold blood, would they react to changes in temperature? Connors? Well, you'll have to catch one first. He told him, holding the needle. Anyway, there's a rumor of a new species here in Mustafa. Beautiful, really. Izuku? What do you know about it? Have you seen it? Connors? Well, it's not yet classified, but they can be aggressive if threatened, he said, grabbing his bag. Doc, are you okay? He asked. The doctor. Never been better. Midoriya, never been better. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm afraid I'll need to ask you to leave. I've got a new project, and I'll need you to excuse me, he said, walking away to the door. Wonderful things are coming, Midoriya, wonderful things. Izuku began hearing strange sounds in the lab and approached it, seeing the cage that held Freddy destroyed, and in front of it was a lizard Freddy eating the other mouse. Izuku, no way, Freddy, he said in terror. Izuku ran out of there to the police office where May's father was and entered his office to see him working. Mr. Hatsume. Mr. Midoriya, why are you not in school? Izuku? I left school and I'm moving to another one. Mr. Hatsume? Well, I am not moving, so I don't have free time. Izuku followed him around the office. Well, it's about the creature last night. It's not some person's quirk, no, it's much more dangerous, and I know who it was. He told you know who it is? He questioned. Izuku. Drive Curtis Connors. That's right, Izuku clarified. Mr. Hatsume? Dr. Connors is a respected scientist and mentor. Is that who you're talking about? Izuku? Yeah, him. Mr. Hatsume? Yeah, you know, Dr. Connors recently sent my daughter a glowing recommendation to Oscar for the invention she helped him build, and when I read it I cried. But you would have me believe that he is running around now using his so-called lizard quirk. Izuku? Not a lizard quirk, he has transformed himself into a giant lizard. Izuku realized he sounded crazy and sighed. Mr. Hatsume? Let me ask you something, do I look like the mayor of Tokyo? Izuku? I'm telling you the truth, the man has been working his entire life on cross-species genetics. He lost his left arm and has been trying to regrow it, but there's something going wrong in the formula, and he used it on himself. He's using lizard DNA. He is dangerous, and he's planning something horrific, I know for sure. Mr. Hatsume? Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're gonna go back to hanging out with the people of Tokyo, and I'm gonna go back to protecting the fine citizens of this city. Mr. Davis, please escort him out. Izuku? You need to bring him in. I'm not messing around. Please bring him in. You have to listen to me. Bring him in, he shouted, getting pushed out. Mr. Hatsume then walked to another officer. Jimmy, bring me everything you have on Dr. Curtis Connors by tomorrow, he told him. But Izuku walked down the street to see lizards crawling into a sewer and realized they were going to Connors and knew he needed to take him down. Season 1. Episode 8, Trap Gone Wrong. Flashback. Mr. Hatsume? Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're gonna go back to hanging out with the people of Tokyo, and I'm gonna go back to protecting the fine citizens of this city. Mr. Davis, please escort him out. Izuku? You need to bring him in, I'm not messing around, please bring him in, you have to listen to me, bring him in," he shouted, getting pushed out. Mr. Hatsume then walked to another officer. "Jimmy, bring me everything you have on Dr. Curtis Connors by tomorrow," he told him. With Izuku walked down the street to see lizards crawling into a sewer and realized they were going to Connors and knew he needed to take him down. Present. Deep into the sewers, Izuku slowly descended using his web while wearing his Spider-Man suit, taking the chance to capture Connors and stop him once and for all. With Connors in the sewers, Connors could be seen in his makeshift lab. Connors. Recording drive. Curtis Connors, temperature 189 degrees, set for 48 hours, blood panels consisting with subjects passed. With Izuku. With Connors. Cutting rate vastly improved, marked enhancement in muscle response strength and elasticity, he said to the camera recording him. With Izuku shot a single web into the right and left tunnels, then connected them. He then shot another 2 webs, one in the south and north, connecting them. He continued doing the same thing over and over till he finished with a perfect web trap. With Connors. Eyesight similarly improved, he said, holding his glasses in hand. Subject no longer requires corrective lenses. Suddenly the doctor's head swung left and right, his pupils turning to slits. This is no longer about curing ails, this is about finding perfection. In an attempt to repress generative relapse, dosage has been increased to 200 milligrams. The doctor moved his sleeve up, revealing his sickly greenish-white skin. Injecting himself with a needle holding the lizard formula, he pressed the button, allowing the lizard DNA into his body. He stared at the camera once more with an evil look on his face and threw it at a wall, breaking it. With Izuku could be seen sitting on the webs, drawing into his notebook a picture of Mountain Lady right beside the information for her. When suddenly the web began shaking, he got up as his spider sense went off, throwing his book away. He webbed it to the wall and looked into the tunnel in front of him. The webs continued moving and his spider sense got even stronger. So he crawled forward about 6 centimeters when the web on his right shook, so he turned to look at it. Suddenly all the web strings began moving, causing Izuku to spin around, confused by it all, when he saw a lizard shadow. Clenching his fist, he prepared himself ready for anything. He replaces his lenses with those of goggles so he could see underwater in case things go wrong, and he studied up on aquatic hero tactics, especially those of Selkie. Dozens of lizards began crawling on each web approaching him. He watched as some fell through the hole beneath him while others crawled towards the left tunnel, so he crawled close towards them. When he heard the sound of something slithering behind him and his danger sense boomed, turning around fast, the lizard jumped him, shoving him onto his back against the web. It tried cutting him with its claws and then it tried biting his head off, but Izuku grabbed it by its neck, holding the monster back as it continued trying to kill him, pushing down on the web, causing the items the web was attached to break off the walls. Izuku. Lizard. You stopped me once, you will not do it again. The nails of the claw Izuku was holding back had begun growing longer. Lizard. I'm getting stronger every day. Izuku. He screamed in agony, feeling the claws dig themselves into his chest and cause large cuts. In his moment of weakness, the lizard grabbed him by his chest, holding his arms to the side, and approached the mask to rip it off when Izuku kneed him in the gut and then punched him in the face when the web finally gave out, causing them both to plunge into the hole of water beneath them. Izuku and the creature battled as they sunk. The lizard dragged him down and Izuku kicked it in the face, causing it to let go as he swung with the water currents. The lizard slowly caught up, about to grab onto Izuku when he flipped over its body and smashed its head into the 3 bars in front of them. The lizard got dizzy, leaving Izuku, who grabbed him by its head and the bars. They slammed into, smashing the lizard's head against it over and over till he made a large enough dent for Izuku to swim through. The last thing he heard was the lizard roaring angrily at him. Izuku found himself a way out the sewers and used his sticky hands to hold on and crawl up the drain. Reaching the exit, he found a manhole cover, so reeling his fist back, he punched it off and pushed himself out, taking in much needed breaths of air and falling onto his back. Izuku. Sigh, well, that could have gone better. With Connors climbed out the water from where he and Izuku fell in. Feeling the web stuck to him, he nudged them off. He looked to the sound and saw a notebook stuck to the wall, so he approached and tore the web off, looking at the book's cover and the title, Hero Analysis for Future Number 13. If found, please return to Izuku Midoriya. Connors. Izuku Midoriya GRRR. He tore it apart in anger. With May was working on blueprints while on her laptop when she heard a knock on the glass and turned to see Izuku in his suit without the mask. May. Giggle, come in, bug boy, she said, turning back to her laptop while Izuku climbed in slowly. You should maybe consider coming in through the lobby, she told him, turning back once more, looking at him as they both laughed. May. So my father is under the impression that you need psychiatric attention. Midoriya, what happened? She rushed to his side and helped him onto her bed. Izuku. You should see the other guy, this instance with a large bump on his grown head, he said as May started unzipping his suit from the top. When hey May honey, you want Coco? Simon made some, it's good. May rushed to the door with a blush while Izuku quickly rolled onto the floor to hide. May. No dad, I don't want cocoa, honestly I'm 17 years old. Mr. Hatsume. Okay, I just remembered somebody a week ago who said they wanted to live in a chocolate house. May. Well, that's impractical. Closes door, open door, infanting close door. May looked back at Izuku, who smirked at her childishly. She rolled her eyes and sighed before opening the door. May. Sorry dad, I'm just tired. Mr. Hatsume. It's good, he said, pointing to the kitchen with his thumb. May. I just can't have cocoa right now cause I'm working. I'm doing this at the I have cramps. Mr. Hatsume. Oh, May. It's just like bad, I get emotional and keep crying. Mr. Hatsume got really uncomfortable and tried finding a way out the conversation. It's brutal, you don't want to know, it's like how bad. She finished. Mr. Hatsume. I got it, May. Thanks, Daddy, she said before shutting the door, leaving the man to walk away, trying to get that moment out his head. With Izuku and May. Izuku lifted his shirt up, revealing the large cuts and blood. May went to her bathroom and took a towel, wetting it. She returned and began cleaning the blood, careful as to not hurt him. She looked him in the eye, and he her. Izuku placed his hand on her cheek, causing her to lean into his touch. She looked at him worriedly, as she placed her forehead against Izuku's. Easy bug boy, she whispered to him. Izuku. Chuckle, what did you call me? May held him by cheeks and looked at him face to face. May. I know what this is. Every day for as long as I could remember, my father woke up every morning at 7 a.m. and left the house with a gun strapped to his side and a badge on his chest. And every day, for as long as I could remember, I never knew if he was gonna make it back home. That's why I got into engineering, to make his job safer. Izuku leaned back and caressed her cheek, wiping the tears from her eye, pulling her in. He kissed her forehead. Izuku. I will always come back, I promise. Whispering, it's okay, I'm okay, it'll all be okay. But I got to stop him. She looked at him with worry. I have to, because I created him, he finished. She looked at him in disbelief. How did you create him? She asked him. Izuku. I gave him an equation. I made all of this happen. My father worked on something secretly, now I realize why he kept it a secret. Izuku looked down. Point is, this is my responsibility. And I have to fix it. He petted her as she looked down, so using her finger, he raised her head. Hey, let's get out of here. Let's just get out of here. He shook his head like a crazy person, making her giggle. I can't, she whispered back. Izuku. Yes, May. No, Izuku. Yes, May. No, if my parents see me leaving, I'm dead, she told him as Izuku smirked. Your parents aren't going to see you leave, he told her, confusing her. May screamed, hugging Izuku tight as he swung with her in his arms. With Connors, Izuku Midoriya as Spider-Man. Connors sat at the edge of the water in the sewers, hearing voices in his head. I'm not the one who needs help. There will be no more loneliness, no more outcasts. Connors rushed to his sewer lab. Species-wide distribution can enhance humanity on an evolutionary scale. One has to adapt to survive. Connors picked up some of the formula. He looked at the distance. By changing like the snake, I will be free to cast off flesh to where a night well confined. Would you give it all up? You know you could do all the power you feel. Connors walked to the needle and inject the formula into his own self. I can save them. Connors. Connors began slowly transforming until he fully morphed into the lizard and then turned to the door behind him. You're not going to get in the way of my plan, Izuku Midoriya, he shouted, running through the door, leaving a broken computer screen, revealing a photo of Izuku with his home address. With Izuku in the Midoriya apartment, Inko could be seen much thinner than before while cooking and humming a tune. Meanwhile, Izuku was in his bedroom looking at his body and the 3 new scars he got. The third is hidden under the singlet. Izuku. Sigh, great. Izuku's head suddenly turned to his door, hearing rattling from the toilet under the bathroom. He grabbed his suit and quickly threw it on, while Inko walked towards Izuku's room. Inko. Izuku, lunch is ready. Boom. The lizard smashed through the wall beside Inko, a bag strapped to its waist. Holding something, he grabbed Inko and shoved her into the wall, cracking it behind her as she squirmed in pain. Where is Izuku? He roared when suddenly a vase was thrown and smashed over its head. Izuku. Hey, he shook its head dizzy when Izuku out of nowhere kicked it from underneath its jaw and began punching him in the face, enraged. Izuku. Don't punch, punch my punch mother, he shouted, with each punch smashing the lizard's head deeper and deeper into the ground. Izuku. Run, you. The lizard suddenly got up and smashed Izuku into the wall. Izuku. Gra. Inko. Izuku. She shouted, let go of my son, using her quirk to smash a table into the lizard's he. Izuku. Gra. He punched it in the face. The lizard turned to him in anger. Lizard. Roar. Izuku head-butted the lizard and then used the wall to tackle the lizard outside, smashing the lizard through the building as they came straight down 17 floors. Izuku and the lizard wrestled as they descended when Izuku quickly swung the lizard around and began punching him in the face till the lizard grabbed him by the wrists and spun him around, forcing his head down. Lizard. All those souls afraid and alone, I can save them, there's no need to stop me, Midoriya. Izuku. You're wrong, this isn't the way to save the people. Connors. If you aren't with me then you're against me. They two were about to hit the ground when Izuku smacked his hand against the wall next to them, causing him to separate from the lizard. Then he shot two webs on both sides of the creature and shot it down at such high speeds that when the lizard smashed into a car below him, he slammed both feet into the creature's gut and then pierced the car, causing it to explode. Season 1 Episode 9. A trap set for a spider. Flashback. Izuku. You're wrong, this isn't the way to save the people. Honors. If you aren't with me then you're against me. They two were about to hit the ground when Izuku smacked his hand against the wall next to them, causing him to separate from the lizard. Then he shot two webs on both sides of the creature and shot it down at such high speeds that when the lizard smashed into a car below him, he slammed both feet into the creature's gut and then pierced the car, causing it to explode. End of flashback. This just in, the vigilante Spider-Man has defeated the lizard. On the large screen in the center of malls, on TV channels and phones, footage of the fight between Spider-Man and the lizard was sent out, although some parts weren't seen, like from where they fell from and the words they spoke. Izuku however had a bad feeling, but he had to leave that for later. Right now he had a new house to move to. Inko. Sigh. Well then, are you ready for the start of our new lives? She asked her son, both standing in front of their new home left to them by Hisashi. They took out the boxes from the moving trucks and brought them into the house. Inko. Why don't you look around while I set everything up in the kitchen, sweetie? Izuku. Are you sure? It's a lot of work, he said, slightly worried for his mother. Oh, she hummed with an innocent smile while around her several plates, silverware and pots floated. Inko. I wonder, is this too much, Izuku? She smirked mischievously at her son, who chuckled and kissed her head. If you need me I'll be around, he told her. Inko nodded and watched him head off while she started putting everything up. Izuku started his tour in his new bedroom and began setting it up, putting all the things he needed around, of course, with the money he made off of selling All Might merchandise. Since it was too much, he made quite the amount of money. Next, Izuku headed off to look at the bathroom and put the toiletries where they were meant to be and placed a bath towel behind the door on the rack and a tea towel if they needed to dry their hands. Izuku then moved on to the living room and unboxed the couches, putting them around a new tea table his mother bought and the TV they recently purchased against the wall on a movie table, which essentially kept the films in a drawer. Leaving the room, he walked towards the door on his right and opened the sliding doors to see the backyard, which was a lovely setting perfect for barbecues and more outdoor events. After a few hours of setting up, Izuku left to see his mother, who had finally finished with the kitchen. Izuku. Hey, you look tired, he said to his mother, who was lying on the couch. Inko. Diggle, says the one covered in dust. She replied, sitting up and smirking at Izuku, who was covered in black spots. He did get dirty while working. Inko. Why don't you go have a shower while I get dinner ready, sweetie? Izuku. Right. Leaving the kitchen, Izuku left to his bedroom to gather his clothes and then into the bathroom. Turning on the water, he stepped in and bathed, finally relieving his tired bones. Izuku sighed and rested deeper into the water when he looked down, recalling something the lizard said while being arrested. Flashback. Izuku stood in front of Lizard, who was being restricted by the cops. He looked at Izuku and smirked. Lizard. You may have won this round, Spider-Man, but it's not over, for once the moon reaches its peak, man will cease to exist and there will only be the lizard. End of flashback. Izuku narrowed his eyes until something clicked. The bag strapped to the lizard held something important, something he needed, something valuable. Eyes widening, he jumped out the water and dried himself off. Running to his bedroom, he grabbed his suit and ran away, about to reach the front door when he was stopped by his mother. Inko. And where do you think you're going? Izuku didn't turn around. Out. Why? He questioned her. Inko. Tell me the truth, Izuku. Izuku. The lizard wasn't done, and if I don't leave now he'll do something that could destroy us all. Inko. Izuku, don't you think this is too much? Look at what happened earlier. He found us. He found you and nearly killed you. I know you want to be a hero, but maybe there's another way. Izuku. There is no other way. Inko. What do you mean there is no other way? I can't let you go out there to die. Izuku. And what about you? Inko took a step back. She'd never heard him scream before. Izuku. What if I don't go right now and he succeeds? The lizard could be seen smashing out the police station and running to Oscarp. Izuku. What if I'm stuck here and he reached Oscarp? The lizard could be seen smashing through random pro heroes and backhanding Maruko into a wall before climbing Oscarp's wall. Izuku. I already lost Dad. I won't lose you too. Izuku opened the door and took a step forward to exit the house when he felt arms wrap around him. Please don't leave me alone. Inko began crying and Izuku felt her tear stains wet his back. Izuku. I'll come back, Mum. Izuku finally left, leaving his mother to cry worriedly as he swung away. I'll come back and hug you. I'll come back and never let go. I'll come back and never leave you alone again, I swear, Mum. I'm Skip. Izuku swung through the city firing his webs and being followed by police cars and several pro heroes with a police helicopter on his tail. Mr. Hatsume, who was sitting in the copter, went on the comm system and said, stand down now or we'll open fire. You are surrounded, there is no escape. Izuku, however, didn't stop, he kept going forward. SWAT busted onto the roofs and aimed their guns for Izuku, firing taser darts and missing each shot when as soon as he turned a corner, he was blinded by a helicopter and shot in the chest. Arg, he screamed in pain, falling down, crashing into a car windshield, breaking it and making the car stop immediately as he skidded across the ground, coming to a stop on his back. SWAT came down to the ground and so did the helicopter. Pro heroes surrounded him, the widely known ones being Kamui Woods, Death Arms, and Mountain Lady, who was in her giant form. SWAT. We got him. Mr. Hatsume approached Izuku and grabbed him by the mask to pull it off when Izuku grabbed him by the wrist and pushed him back by hitting his chest with his palm. SWAT fired at him, but Izuku backflipped, causing them to miss and cross-fired to webs into two pro heroes, faces pulling them to him. He spun around, causing them to clash into several cops. Kamui. I've got you. He launched a large flood of roots at Izuku, who crouched down, dodging them all, but one made a clean cut on his mask, tearing a quarter of the top, revealing his hair and eye. But Izuku fired a web shot at his feet, pulling them and making the pro fall down. Death Arms roared in anger and charged, bring down his fist on Izuku, who grabbed them by the wrist, pulling the fists apart. Shocking Death Arms, Izuku headbutted him and then punched him in the face, sending him crashing into a police vehicle. Mount Lady. Come here, bug boy. She grew to her giant form and tried grabbing him, but he jumped onto her hand and ran up her arm. Mountain Lady. You get him off me. She began smacking her body parts to get him off when he reached her head and jumped up on top of her head, shooting two webs onto her giant arm. Izuku. Hey, that's rude, weren't you taught some manners? He pulled her arm up, causing her to facepalm hard and fall backwards, landing on other SWAT members and pros, taking them down. Landing on the floor in front of the shocked pros about to jump away when Hatsume stopped him. Mr. Hatsume. Freeze, down on the ground, your hands behind your head now. Izuku slowly turned around with a helicopter light on him. Midoriya, he said in disbelief. Izuku. He's headed to Oscar, and if I don't stop him soon we're all gonna die. You, me, May. Izuku slowly approached him, making the man slowly lower his gun. Finally, when Hatsume stopped the threat of shooting him, Izuku ran to the side and jumped off the broken car he crashed into, launching a web onto a building. He swung away when one pro hero raised his hand with his fingers shaped like pistols. Hatsume. Hold your fire, he shouted when the guy had fired 5 shots. 2 landed in Izuku's arms, 2 in his thighs and 1 through his side. Arg, he screamed in pain, falling onto a roof building, rolling, but he got up again and kept running, leaving the blood to come out his wounds. But the lizard. A news copter followed the lizard with its light as he climbed the Oscar building, using his claws to jump higher and higher. Reporter. Well guys, if I didn't see it I wouldn't believe it. A creature at least as tall as All Might is climbing Oscar Tower. This thing is clearly incredibly strong and agile. Let's hope whatever it's planning the heroes can stop it before time runs out. Back with Izuku. Izuku swung towards a building and crashed into it, falling down. He slammed into the roof, but before dropping, he stuck himself to it and looked at Oscar not that far away. Izuku. Damn it, he said in pain. But Inko sat on the couch. Reporter. This just in, all of Japan has been ordered to evacuate quickly. You have to move out immediately. We do not know where All Might is, and no one has been able to come close to stopping the lizard. May God help us all. Inko. Be careful, baby. But Izuku could be seen climbing on top of a building, his conscience slowly slipping. But the wild hussy hats, the team, and Koda especially, were watching the screen on their agency. Reporter. Wats, the Spider-Man seems to be heading towards Oscar. He's injured and barely hanging on to his strength, yet still fighting for us, so let's all hope he makes it. Mandalay. That's the guy who saved Koda. Koda. Please. They all turned to Koda, who was tearing up seeing his hero hurt and barely standing. Please help him, he begged them. Mandalay. Tiger, you're still friends with that crane operator, right? Tiger. Of course, why do you ask? Mandalay. Call him up, we need his help. Tiger. Roger. But the firefighters. Tamaki. Come on, let's help Spider-Man. Firefighters. Right, but Izuku. Come on. He jumped from one building to another, but couldn't make it and fell down onto a car. Some of the people running stopped and looked at him, pushing his body to get up. Izuku. I need to get up. He pushed himself a few inches before falling back down when he felt someone push him up. He looked and saw a small kid, and then another man helped him and another. Everyone around him helped him stand up when Izuku saw fire trucks and cranes moving to give him a clear way to swing to Oscar. Random. We need you, Spidey. Random. Please help us. Random. You're our hero, Spider-Man. Izuku looked at them all and pushed himself to move forward. Reporter. Unbelievable. It appears the people are placing their hopes on the vigilante. It truly is a miracle. Izuku hopped twice forward when he felt the child pull on his leg. Looking down, he saw a little girl. Will you beat him, Spider-Man? Izuku looked at her for a moment before crouching and petting her head. Don't you worry about me, I'll protect you all, I promise. Now go to your mother. The girl nodded and ran to her mother's side. Standing up, Izuku clenched his fist and glared at the cranes belonging to the city and firefighters. He took 2 hops forward before running forward. He slowly gained more speed, feeling his strength returning before he jumped up and launched a web at one of the cranes, swinging into action. He moved faster and faster through the buildings, the people, the country itself cheering him on. Izuku thoughts, no matter what happens I will save you all. But the lizard finished preparing his bomb and added the mutagen into it. Its bright green glow illuminated his green scales. Machine. Lizard virus optimized, countdown sequence activated. The lizard smiled with glee. This virus would cause all the people in Japan to develop a cancer-like disease, killing them from the inside, and to save themselves, they would go to him for a cure, and that would be the success he was looking for, a way to turn the people of Japan and then the world into lizards. Suddenly a web was fired onto the building. Spider-Man swung himself around the pole, kicking the lizard in the chest with both feet, causing them both to come crashing down onto a large light on the roof floor, breaking it. Roar. The lizard tried slashing Spider-Man with his claw, but Spidey dodged the attack and fell out the light, rolling away. The lizard jumped out and tried slamming his fists into him, but Spider-Man dodged again, only for the lizard to grab him by the foot and throw him off the building. But before he fell too far down, he fired another web to swing himself into the building and climb. Reaching the top again, the lizard came back holding a large tank of nitrogen dioxide and threw it at him, but he missed, causing it to break apart and freeze a small bit of the glass. Spider-Man crawled to the side, followed by the lizard, who kept trying to kill him, when Spidey fired a web shot onto the lizard's face, blinding him and making him move back. When he came back, Spider-Man was nowhere to be seen, when suddenly he came back, sending a fury of punches which resulted in the lizard being sent flying away. The lizard bounced back angrier than ever and rushed to Spider-Man, who launched a web between his feet and slid through them and attached himself to a beam, about to jump away, when the lizard grabbed him by the feet and began smashing him into the ground left and right. Spinning him around, the lizard grabbed him by the wrist and squeezed tight, destroying the web shooter. Putting both hands together, the lizard held them with one hand and used his other to pull the mask off, revealing Izuku's face completely. But Izuku's face was covered in scratches, a few bruises and bloody cuts. Lizard. Poor Izuku Midoriya, no father, no friends, no aunts, no uncles, all alone. A shotgun being reloaded caught their attention. It was Mr. Hatsume. Hatsume? He's not alone. The lizard roared at him, but Hatsume shot and hit a nitrogen tank tube, causing it to detach from the pipe it was connected to and fly into Izuku's hand, putting it in the lizard's face. The monster roared in pain, its limbs being frozen solid as Izuku kept the tube firing against him, causing him to be shrouded in ice. Hatsume continued firing, shooting off its claws, tail, arm and parts of its leg. As it got too close, Izuku threw the tube into a hole of nitroglycerin tanks and kicked him into it. Izuku. Hold him down, I need to stop that bomb. Izuku was about to leave when Midoriya used this. Izuku looked back at him and caught a small grenade. Hatsume. It should be enough to burn apart that virus. May made it for you, and I'm sorry for everything I said about you during dinner. You are what this city needs. Izuku looked down and smiled, nodding his head. He ran away. Hatsume turned back to the lizard, only to get punched back into a wall by the same monster who followed Izuku up to the bomb. Izuku. Almost there, almost there, almost there. He reached to the bomb when his foot was grabbed by the lizard. Lizard. Hahaha, where do you think you're going, Midoriya? Lizard. Miwahaha, you stupid fool, did you think you could win? I will erase humanity, and this pathetic world will all be mine. He shouted, madness seeping into his eyes. Hatsume. No. Hatsume fired a single gunshot, hitting the lizard in the face, causing him to roar down at the man with his eye regenerating. Spider-Man then kicked him in the face, sending the lizard down. Spider-Man raced to the bomb while a helicopter in the air recorded the entire thing. Reporter. Spider-Man's nearly reached the bomb and he's kicked the lizard away. We're saved, yes Spider-Man. But the wild Husa hits. Koda. Yes Spider-Man. Husa hits. He did it. But the firefighters were all celebrating. Random. You the man, Spidey. Random. I always knew he was a hero. Tamaki smiled with a blush at the TV, watching Izuku tamper with the bomb. But Spidey. Izuku began entering a code into the machine. 54. Code incorrect. 53. Code incorrect. 52. Code incorrect. Izuku. Damn it, work, why wouldn't you work? He punched the machine twice, causing the screen to get damaged and the bomb to turn off. Izuku. Phew. He wiped the sweat of his face. Reporter. He did. Spider-Man did it. Izuku looked down at Hatsume, who smiled at him, jumping down to the man's side. He smiled back. Thankfully the darkness of night covered his face, so no one saw him. Izuku. We did it. Hatsume. No, you did it. Oh right, I think this belongs to you. Reaching to his back pocket, Hatsume pulled out Izuku's torn mask and handed it back to him. Taking it, Izuku smiled, thankful to the man, when blood splattered on Hatsume's mortified face. Koda began crying and the Husahits looked at the screen in terror. The people all stopped celebrating. Inko had her hand over her mouth. Spider-Man Season 1 Finale. Episode 10. I am Spider-Man. Cap. Lizard. Mwahaha, you stupid fool, did you think you could win? I will erase humanity, and this pathetic world will all be mine. He shouted, madness seeping into his eyes. Hatsume. Knew. Hatsume fired a single gunshot, hitting the lizard in the face, causing him to roar down at the man with his eye regenerating Spider-Man, then kicked him in the face, sending the lizard down. Spider-Man raced to the bomb while a helicopter in the air recorded the entire thing. Reporter. Spider-Man's nearly reached the bomb and he's kicked the lizard away. We're saved, yes Spider-Man, but the wild Hussa hits. Coda. Yes Spider-Man, Hussa hits. He did it, but the firefighters were all celebrating. Brandon. You the man Spidey. Brandon. I always knew he was a hero. Tamaki smiled with a blush at the TV watching Izuku tamper with the bomb, but Spidey. Izuku began entering a code into the machine. 54, code incorrect, 53, code incorrect, 52, code incorrect. Izuku. Damn it, work, why won't you work? He punched the machine twice, causing the screen to get damaged and the bomb to turn off. Izuku. Phew. He wiped the sweat of his face. Reporter. He did it, Spider-Man did it. Izuku looked down at Hatsume, who smiled at him, jumping down to the man's side. He smiled back. Thankfully the darkness of night covered his face, so no one saw him. Izuku. We did it. Hatsume. No, you did it. Oh right, I think this belongs to you. Reaching to his back pocket, Hatsume pulled out Izuku's torn mask and handed it back to him. Taking it, Izuku smiled, thankful to the man when blood splattered on Hatsume's mortified face. Koda began crying and the Husahits looked at the screen in terror. The people all stopped celebrating. Inko had her hand over her mouth. Spider-Man. End of recap. The lizard's tail, sharp as ever, had gone through Izuku's chest. His blood sprang out. Spider-Man was in the air, holding the point of the tail that had pierced through him. Hatsume. Spider-Man. The lizard swung Izuku off the building, sending him flying down. Hatsume. You bastard. He sent a fist to the monster's face, but the lizard caught it and broke his arm. Arg, he screamed in pain as he was thrown into a wall and knocked out. The lizard climbed to his bomb that was deactivated and pulled it off. Machine. Countdown commencing. 10, 9, 8. Lizard. Now the world will be mine. The people were crying. There was no hope left. This was it, all of Japan, and then the world would be taken over and be either killed or turned into a monster. This was it. This was endgame. Reporter. This is it, Spider-Man. Our masked vigilante failed, and I'm afraid to say this is the end. Wherever you are, All Might, please help us. Whip. Reporter. I don't believe it. There's no way it's him. Izuku. Hey lizard, suck on this. Lizard. Ugh. The lizard was sent skidding across the ground and then through the wall Hatsume had crashed into. Spider-Man. Hot talk about an entrance. Spider-Man had webs on his chest covering his wound as he limped to the bomb on the ground. Picking it up, he held it tight. The countdown had reached 5, so he looked to the edge of the building. Reporter. What's this? Spider-Man is up to something. Could he have an idea on how to save us? Spider-Man moved forward, limping before picking up the pace. Starting to sprint, he leaped off the building and dived straight down, and then he spun around, firing 2 web lines, one onto Oscar and another on a random building. Nearly reaching the roads, he was launched up at high speeds when the lizard jumped onto him, digging his claws into Izuku's chest wound and back. Izuku. Arg. He screamed in pain. Lizard. If I'm to go down, Spider-Man, you're coming with me. Machine. Countdown sequence 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Countdown complete. Virus activation commencing. The bomb was set off, causing a large explosion of green. The entire city looked into the air at the aurora-like skies. Lizard. Hahaha, I've won. Izuku. Hey lizard. His suit was being burned and so was his skin, but with the last of strength which he could possibly muster, he pulled out the bomb given to him by Hatsume and turned it on. Lizard. Huh. Izuku. I win. Showing the bomb, the lizard's eyes grew wide in shock. No, he shouted when, boom, closing his eyes and being hidden by the bright light of the explosion. Izuku smiled as the bomb was triggered, burning the green skies apart and causing a large explosion. The reporter screamed as the helicopter was blown away and the people covered their faces as the strong winds blew past them. After a few seconds, the effects of the blast died down and everyone looked back to the screens as the helicopter regained balance. Reporter. Here we are, we're back, live and looking for any signs of movement, but I don't see him. I don't see Spider-Man. From the smoke, something blasted out covered in smoke and crashed into the ground. Reporter. Wait, we see something. Zoom in. Slowly the smoke cleared out to reveal Spider-Man standing tall with his fist in the air, his entire body covered in wounds, his suit torn apart and blood flowing down his fist, and before anyone knew it, the entire Japan roared with applause. Reporter. He did it, Spider-Man did it. This is amazing. For the first time in history of vigilante, someone with no official hero standing has saved our entire country. This is a momentous occasion, one that will go down in history as the birth of our hero Spider-Man. Izuku swayed back and forth before falling over, but catching him was Mr. Hatsume. Hatsume. You did good kid, real good, I'm sure your family would be proud. He heard snoring and realized Izuku wasn't awake, so with a small smile, he picked the kid up and took him to a medic. Let's get you patched up and back on your feet, after all Japan will need it. Spider-Man, heh, maybe you're the one for my precious May. Time skip. A hole burst out of building roof and from it came out a large super villain pink in skin color and with enough muscle mass to rival Hulk. Villain. Roarg. The villain glared at Mount Lady and Kamui Woods, who stood in front of him while he held hostages. Mount Lady. Give up, villain, we won't let you hurt them. Villain. I'll escape and you can't stop me. He raised his fist and brought it down on Mount Lady, causing a large dust explosion. Kamui. Montana Lady. The smoke cleared out, revealing Mount Lady not there and a large crater. Villain. Ha, looks like I pulverized her, hahaha. Kamui. You monster, he cried when. Hey, didn't you mother ever teach you not to hit a lady? The two turned to where the voice came from and their eyes widened in shock. The crimson red and sea blue suit, the design of spider webs from his arms and lenses of pure white surrounded in black, there he stood in all his glory. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Hey there. In his arms he held the blushing Mount Lady. Villain. Spider-Man raw. He was about to charge at Spider-Man when he shot a web shot at the villain's face, blinding him. The villain roared in pain, causing him to let go of the people and rip the web off his eyes. Spider-Man. A layup. Spider-Man came down with an axe kick, sending the villain straight into the floor, knocked out. Spider-Man backflipped and looked down at the dizzy Mount Lady. He didn't hurt you, did he? Spider-Man asked her, making sure she was okay. When Mount Lady came to, she realized where she was and became bright red, so all she did was nod. Kamui. Spider-Man, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice, interfering with hero business and vigilantism. Drop Mount Lady now and come peacefully. Spider-Man, let me think, Chief nope. Shooting a web at Kamui with his right hand, Kamui was launched back into a car upon impact of the web shot and stuck to the vehicle. Izuku. Well, I'll see you later, Mount Lady. Placing her on the floor softly, Spider-Man ran away and launched himself into the air, swinging away with Mount Lady following him with her eyes. Mountain Lady. Sigh, what a man. Kamui. Help me, he said, struggling to free himself like a child. But Izuku swung through the air. It had been 2 weeks since his heroic act, and more than half of Japan knew about him as Spider-Man. He was a hero to many, but a menace to some. Izuku looked at a large billboard to see J. Jonah Jameson with his angry face talking about him, but other than them he was living the life of his dreams. Ring, ring. Looking down, Izuku took his phone out his pocket and answered. Hello. Time skip. It was currently nighttime, and Izuku had finally arrived at the beach he cleaned. Izuku turned to where the voice came from and saw May running to him. Izuku. May. Izuku. May. Izuku. May tackled Izuku down a hill of sand, stopping on a flat land of sand. Izuku. May, that hurts. He complained in pain before feeling her tighten the hug and then the sound of sniffing. Izuku. May. Dummy. She shouted, pushing herself up to show Izuku her tears. May. I saw you nearly die. I saw you fight the lizard. I saw you bleed and keep fighting. Why couldn't you just give up? Izuku didn't respond. May. Did you even think about how I'd feel seeing you nearly die? Izuku raised his hand to her face. May. Or did you just not care? Izuku's hand gently placed itself on her cheek and wiped the teardrop from her eyes, and with a smile, he leaned up and kissed her forehead, making her blush. Izuku. It's not that I didn't care, not even close. Leaning back, Izuku showed her his warm smile. Izuku. It's because if I didn't keep fighting I would have lost you. May looked at him with shock before moving close to his face, and he moved close to hers, their lips about to press against each other, and as they got closer they felt each other's warm breath, and then, boom, an explosion echoed around them. The two turned to look at the city with fire burning bright. Izuku. May pushed her finger against his lips. Don't worry about it now, go be Spider-Man. But before that I have one thing to tell you. Izuku hawked his head to the side when he felt a warm pair of soft lips gently pressed on his cheek. May. You're my hero muscles and I'll miss you while I'm at UA. Izuku blushed bright red before he got up and ran off, leaving May watching him. Stay safe, bug boy, she whispered. But Izuku, when I was a kid I wasn't gifted a special power. Izuku could be seen running on a rooftop, ripping open his button-up shirt, revealing the Spider-Man suit under it. And I believed I wasn't special like everyone else. Izuku leaped off the roof and disappeared when suddenly a line of white attached itself to a roof and Spider-Man swung forward. But I was wrong. Spider-Man swung faster and faster, the windows catching a brief look of him. I was the most special of them all. Izuku launched himself high in the air using a catapult. After all, I am Spider-Man. Season 2. Episode 1. I am the spectacular Spider-Man. The sounds of police sirens rung in the air as our main hero himself dived from high above the city down to the streets of Mustafa, where he swung into action. Woohoo. He cheered, swinging from building to building, street to street, having the time of his life. Izuku. Alright Japan, what do you have for me today? He asked, soaring into the air as a helicopter flew beside him. Reporting live from Mustafa, a truck has been seen carrying stolen Oscar tech. A police chase is in progress. Diving back down, Izuku swung to the west side of the city. Alright, let's get to work. Right above the cars, Izuku made his way downtown. In the scene, a large bulky truck crashed into several police cars, breaking through them, and behind the truck was an army of the boys in blue, followed by several pro-heroes. Right beside the truck launching into the air was the rabbit hero Maruko. Maruko, I'll kick you to kingdom come. The crooks in the car however didn't hear her and fist bumped. Yeah, they roared at each other. We're back Japan. Spider-Man, seeing the scene high in the air, swung towards them. Civilian 1. It's Spider-Man. Civilian 2. Go Spidey. Spider-Man swung just over. Then good morning pedestrians, he greeted them as he zoomed to the car chase. Back at the scene, Spider-Man arrived and landed on the truck, moving to the truck window beside Alexei where he knocked. Knock, knock, Mr. Criminal. Spidey called out, causing Alexei to roll down the window and let the hero put his hand in for a handshake till he saw who it was. Spider-Man. Oh my god, it's you two again, what a coincidence. Both. Spider-Man. Flint. Die. He thrust his fist forward to hit Izuku, who dodged a hit jumping on the roof. Spider-Man. Wow, after all we've been through together, this hurts you guys. Flint grabbed the submachine gun beside him and jumped out of his chair, sitting on the edge of the window, and aimed at Spider-Man, who shot a web at his face and slammed it down on the roof, causing him to fall backwards, but Spider-Man quickly shot a web at his hands, holding him onto the roof. Spider-Man. I mean, sure, there have been times when you could come to hate me, but I'm adorable, so it's fine, right? Maruko. Spider-Man. Spidey turned to face the back of the truck to see Maruko standing there. Izuku. Oh hey there, Bunbun. The pro blushed at his nickname. Why, you little. She growled, embarrassed. He's sorry, Bunny, but listen, I need your help. You interested? Maruko. You bet. Izuku jumped on his feet before running down to Maruko, who prepared herself as Spider-Man crouched just below her and launched up with her in the air, holding her by her waist as both lifted their left leg high, and Izuku fired 2 webs onto the surface of the truck. The light shined behind them as the people around looked in awe. Maruko. Spider-Man. Lunar spider fall. Their legs axe kicked the back of the truck, causing it to flip up and several times over before it came to a stop against a building wall. Spider-Man landed in crouching position, satisfied with their work, as Maruko hopped to his side with a smirk. The police surrounded the truck and pulled their guns out when Flint and Alexei busted out the truck, wounded. Alexei. Damn it, Flint. Not again. Police. Alexei Sistovich. Flint. Marco, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you do or say will be used against you in a court of law. Maruko. Well, Spidey, nice work. So you're ready to be taken down? She turned to see he was gone. Huh, where did he go? She asked, annoyed. Police. Ms. Maruko. Spider-Man wanted me to give you this. He handed her a note with a chibi. Spider-Man saluting. Till next time, bunny girl senpai. She read, her face bursting bright red. DRR, Spider-Man. She roared into the sky. Break. But Spider-Man. Izuku. Hahaha, another day, another job well done. Hey Harry, you there? Harry. You bet. Now come on, we got to school in a few minutes. Izuku. Oh right, see you then. Well Spidey, today is a brand new day, let's see what happens. Time skip. Izuku could be seen standing in a new uniform and a new look on his face, but he kept his glasses on and took the role of a good help. As the 3 months after becoming Spider-Man passed in a flash, his entire persona had changed. Izuku became confident, healthier and much happier. He wasn't afraid or easily startled anymore, in fact it took a whole lot to scare him. He also made a best friend, Harry Osborn, the second person he told about him being Spider-Man. After an incident with his father, Norman Osborn, Izuku was entitled to tell him everything. Harry became Izuku's eyes and ears as Spider-Man. He would send him info from all around the city, giving him the location of crime scenes and what was happening. Speaking of Spider-Man, the hero had become a new icon for the town, loved by many and hated by few. He was a hero better than most. In fact, he already had souvenirs made for him and fan clubs worshipping him. Spider-Man was a popular hero, and rightfully so. But that's enough about the background, let's get back to our story. Present. Harry. Hey Izuku. Izuku. Harry. Harry Osborn is quirkless, but he's a genius when it comes to money and tech, and that's only one of the reasons he and Izuku are the best of friends. The two saw each other at the front gate of their school. Hugging it out, they fist bumped and continued inside together. Izuku. So how was your morning? Harry. Oh, you know, the butlers were getting me ready and all, but Harold was being a total creep as usual. Izuku. Oh right, your stepbrother, so how is he lately? Harry. Oh, you know, he's obsessed with Spider-Man. Apparently the only way to heal his body is to inject himself with Spider-Man blood. Izuku. Sigh, he just doesn't understand the consequences if I were to give him my blood. Harry. You're telling me the guy has a massive obsession with you? Izuku. Yeah, anyway, we're here now, so let's enjoy our first day back to show. The students began gasping and murmuring, oh my god, it's the president, look. Hey, she's approaching Midoriya. Well, we all know how this is gonna end. Hello again, Midoriya, Osborn. Izuku and Harry stopped walking because of the two people in front of them. Izuku. Hello Ms. Shitori, can we help you? In front of Harry and Izuku was the school president and her vice president. Sona Shitori, her quirk is unknown, but from what's been seen of her quirk is that she can manipulate water, other than that it's a mystery. Tsubaki Shinra, her quirk is unknown, but unlike Sona, she can create a mirror of sorts, capable of sending back attacks. That's all that is known of her strange abilities. Sona smirked at Izuku. "Oh, what's wrong? I'm just here to greet a friend," she said, approaching Izuku flirtatiously, making him blush as she traced her finger up his chest. "He's more ripped than it shows," she thought to herself. Meanwhile, Tsubaki's eye was twitching with cross veins over her head. "Sona, please get back to the point," she demanded of her president, who giggled and took a step back, crossing her arms. "Sona. Yes, I apologize. Now then, I just came to inform you of the upcoming decathlon you and your club will be going to in Washington. You are prepared, right?" Izuku. "Why, yes, of course, ma, I am." Sona. "Good. Oh, and one more thing, I'm coming too, so make sure you're on your best behavior, K," she said before walking away with a sway in her hips while Izuku followed her with his eyes till he felt Harry elbow him in the side. Izuku. "Ow, hey, what?" Harry. "Seriously, dude, you're flirting with Sona Shitori, the president of the student council." Izuku. "And?" Harry. "Sigh, dude, let's just go." Izuku shrugged and walked with his friend to enter the school. Time skip. Izuku sat in class with Harry, listening to the teacher talk when his spider sense went off. So he looked around the classroom in a hurry, causing Harry to look at him with confusion. Harry. "Hey dude, you okay?" Izuku then felt it again and turned his head to the door, which opened to reveal a girl so beautiful the entire class, even the girls, couldn't look away. Even the teacher was awestruck, but no one more than Izuku. "Teacher. Cough cough, CL class, I'd like you to meet the new student Kei Komi. Please welcome her with open arms. Kei Komi, your seat is next to Izuku Midoriya." Class. Yeah. The entire class erupted in cheer as she walked and sat beside Izuku, who continued staring when he heard Harry mumble, "Lucky bastard. Why is it always you?" He looked over to Izuku, who had a smug expression. Harry thoughts. "I'm gonna kill him." Izuku chuckled when he heard the seat beside him move, so he turned to face the girl and greet her. Izuku. "Hi, it's nice to meet you, I'm Isaac. You." He stopped talking cause she began to glare at him intensely. So he just raised an eyebrow. He knows when someone has any malicious intent. His spider sense made sure of that, so he knew she didn't have any ill will against him or anyone, so why did it go off earlier? He wondered to himself. Student 1. Ah, she smells like heaven. Izuku closed his eyes as he spoke to himself. Izuku's thoughts. This girl Komi looks like she's already the most popular girl in school. Sure, I may be lucky that I'm next to her, but I think this is a bit overboard. He opened his eyes to see the entire class already hating him. Student 2. When he mysteriously disappears somehow, then I'll be the one to sit next to her. Izuku thoughts. Well, what a way to start my year. Harry was snickering in the background. Time skip. The students kept their eyes on Komi. Komi was writing down the teacher's instructions, as did Izuku and Harry. Komi took her left hair strands behind her ear while being recorded by a student. Teacher. "Alright, gym class, tomorrow write your name on your shoes and clothes so as to not get mixed up." Komi was turning her page when her eraser fell to the ground and bounced to Izuku's feet. Izuku saw the eraser and picked it up to hand it to her. Izuku. "Oh, you dropped your eraser." He was about to give Komi her eraser when the in grip. Komi got startled as she looked at Izuku holding both a smoking compass and an eraser. Izuku. "Hey, look at that." Ninja student. Izuku slowly put down his pencil and threw the compass back. The compass flew faster than the guy's quirk launched it. It grazed his cheek and pinned itself into the wall behind him. The ninja student didn't dare to look in Izuku's direction. Izuku sighed and gave the eraser back to Komi right next to her notebook. Komi slowly shifted her gaze towards her eraser, which had the name Moon. Komi released a breath and then looks at Izuku. "Komi. Tremble, tremble, tremble." Izuku looked at her and smiled. "No worries," he said, shocking her, but also making her blush from his kind smile. Izuku turned back to his paper and continued writing. Komi, who was still a bit shocked by his understanding her without her saying anything, looked at his writing, making her eyes shine in awe. His writing was perfect and neat. But Izuku was writing down every word fast. Komi tuned back to her pencil and started to write down the notes as well. Time skip. Izuku thoughts. Sigh, I still don't get why my spidey sense went off when Komi walked in. Could it be that she was so pretty it was dangerous, or maybe it was something else? Suddenly students from other classes ran into the classroom towards Komi, scaring Izuku. Izuku thoughts. What do I do? He turned to Harry, who was freaking out before quickly drawing something in his notebook and showing to Izuku the word possum. Brilliant. He puts his head on his desk and pretended to sleep, but he accidentally fell asleep due to exhaustion and lack of sleep. Why can't I? I can't talk in front of anyone anymore. Who is this beside me? Izuku thought, waking up. Why can't I talk to him? Izuku's thoughts. This voice is so beautiful. Izuku opened his eyes to see Komi holding a little black cat doll. Komi, Izuku thought, acting asleep till he heard Komi. Meow. Izuku jumped up. Komi also looked at Izuku, frozen as well. An awkward silence filled the air. Izuku and Komi were staring at each other expressionless. Izuku. Didn't hear that. He said, sweating nervously. So Komi just did one thing. Dash. Komi dashed out of her seat and ran to the door. Izuku quickly reacted, knowing the reason for her communication problem. Izuku. Hey, wait, Komi. Izuku's thoughts. I understand you, the pain you feel, not being able to communicate, that's why. Izuku. Komi, are you bad at talking to people? Komi heard his question and stopped. Izuku thoughts. I want to help you. Izuku. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. Komi turns around and faced Izuku. Komi. Izuku. K. Komi, relax please. Komi slowly stopped trembling and nodded at him. Komi slowly approached Izuku, noticing what happened to the tables and chairs around them from how fast she dashed away, so they quickly fixed everything, making it like it was earlier. Izuku. So you have a hard time communicating with others, right? He asked sympathetically. Izuku. So, you wanted to talk to me earlier, right? What did you want to say? Komi, tremble h ho 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 dot. She repeated what she did earlier. Izuku thoughts. This isn't going anywhere. There must be some way for her to communicate with me. Izuku thought a bit and looked at the board where Komi's name was. Wait. That's it. Izuku. Komi, how about you write what you want to say to me on the board? Komi was very happy with the idea, and cat ears popped out of her head as she ran to the chalkboard. Komi Shako, her quirk Nico Komi can create cat ears and a cat tail and even see in the dark like a cat. She can also control felines of any sort. Komi is also capable of growing her nails till they're as long as daggers and as sharp and durable. How did you figure it out? That I'm bad at holding a conversation. Komi wrote down her question. Izuku. Well, it was when I said hi to you, you didn't say anything back, and when I returned your eraser you began shaking. Hold on, has no one noticed this about you before? He asked, shocked. No, she wrote. Izuku. I see. Komi, tremble. Komi freaked out when Izuku stopped speaking. Ring. Komi. She jumped at the sudden call. Izuku. Huh? He looked at his phone to see the spider signal, which was a chibi version of his head. Izuku. Wait a sec, I'll be right back. He was about to walk out of the room when he felt his right elbow sleeve grabbed. Izuku turned back to see Komi holding his sleeve while looking down, embarrassed. Izuku stopped with a little smile appearing on his face. So pressing over the face the ringing stopped. Some other heroes can deal with it, he said to himself. Izuku. Sorry, Komi, I'm not going anywhere, okay? She just nodded to answer him. After a few seconds had passed, Komi began writing something on the chalkboard. Izuku had his arm crossed while holding his chin with his right hand. Izuku's thoughts. I wonder what it was she wanted to talk about. Komi, light gasp. Komi stopped writing while looking down. She stepped aside so he could see her writing. I wasn't able to eat lunch today. Izuku's expression turned to worry and concern. Izuku. You must be hungry, right? Komi just started to write again, and when done she stepped aside. I really want to talk. Izuku stared at those words with a monotone glance. Komi started writing again. Being in front of people makes me nervous. I froze up and I get really scared. But I still wish I could talk to people, she wrote. Izuku looked down. She reminded him of himself. Whenever I approach them they get nervous or faint. I don't blame them. Who would want to talk to someone like me? Komi finished her writing as she went gloomy. Izuku clenched his fist. He knew that lack of self-confidence very well. When I was in junior high, it was so hard eating lunch all by myself and seeing everyone else talking and laughing. For 3 years I tried to start conversations, but my voice never came out. She gripped her chalk tightly, breaking the chalk. No matter what I did I was never able to talk to anyone. What should I do? How should I start a conversation? What do I do after that? What if I get rejected? What topic should I pick next? What if they think I'm boring? What if my smile looks weird? What am I supposed to do? Crack. Komi's chalk broke in half. She held onto the table to keep herself standing while her hands were trembling. Komi was breathing really fast. Seems like she was holding her breath when she was writing on the board. After a bit, Komi continued writing. I wanted to ask if you'd like to eat together, was written on the board. Komi started sniffling. It seemed like she would break down. Izuku's worried face turned serious. Izuku's thoughts. So she just wants to talk and make friends, but can't. Komi isn't some sort of goddess, she's like everyone else. Izuku got closer to Komi and tapped her shoulder, startling her a bit. You okay? He asked with worried. Komi turned to Izuku and revealed she was hiccuping. Komi was holding her breath for way too long. Sigh, she held her breath too long. Komi quickly began writing again. I'm sorry, Izuku. It's okay, he said, smiling at her. Komi relaxed a little and started writing again. I just feel so frustrated I can't even greet someone. I can't talk about all the things I like what makes me happy, what makes me sad, what I'm proud of, what I'm embarrassed about, homework, what shows I watch, or even the weather. I'm sorry, Izuku, for all this. I'm sure I caused you trouble. Izuku. Trouble, but you didn't cause me any trouble, Komi. Komi turned to Izuku with a monotone yet concerned expression. She remembered everything that happened earlier with her and Izuku. Izuku. I've used it anyway so don't worry about it, he said reassuring Komi with his smile. But Komi was shocked again by him saying he was used to it. Izuku. You didn't do anything wrong so don't apologize, okay? He said while giving her a warm smile making Komi's heart race. Komi slowly turned to the board to write again. In any case, I'm truly sorry to you. I'm sorry Izuku. Sorry for keeping you, I know this isn't your problem. I'd understand if you decided to forget everything I wrote here today. Komi used the eraser to wipe out all she wrote. Goodbye. Izuku remained completely silent. Komi looked down upset. She turned to Izuku and bowed to him before walking to the door. She stopped when she heard the sound of chalk being used to write and turned to see Izuku writing. When he was done, he moved to reveal the words. The weather's nice today, don't you think? Stretching his arm out to her holding the chalk, she walked to him and took the chalk, gently looking up at his shining emerald eyes and warm smile. Her heart began beating a mile a minute. Yes. Izuku smiled. Anything else? Komi flinched before writing. The cherry blossoms are pretty too. Hama's heart was beating. She was trembling again. Is she okay? Izuku asked himself a bit concerned. Both Izuku and Komi started to write down a whole conversation. Izuku was the one who wrote the cheerful and bright questions that Komi would answer. That day I had my first conversation with Komi. I told her I was worried watching her cry, even if it was just hiccups. She told me she thought she was gonna faint when she had to introduce herself and thanked me for picking up her eraser. Now I know she likes cats and was really happy to talk to me. Do you have a dream, Komi? I want to make 100 friends, please don't laugh. Izuku. Chuckle. That's a great dream, Komi, but I think you need to make a recount cause you now have 99 more friends to make since I'm gonna be your first friend. He looked at her with a smile that seemed so unreal and bright it made her heart flutter like never before, her face heating up bright red. Looking down embarrassed, she held her hand over her heart. Unable to handle it any longer, she dashed out of the room so fast Izuku had no time to react. Izuku. Wait. Komi sighed. Well, no matter, I have another goal this semester, and that's to help Komi make a lot of friends, and I'll do whatever it takes to make her dream into a reality, he said, writing more on the chalkboard, not realizing Komi was behind the classroom door watching him with a bright blush. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.